Hi, I'm Mike Baker, and welcome to National Arts. We're here in Shepherdstown, the oldest town in the state of West Virginia and home to the Contemporary American Theater Festival. Each summer, the festival produces 6 new plays and rotating repertory. Playgoers call it the ultimate theater experience. On this program, we'll take a look at the original serio-comic play Wrecked. Wrecked explores the rigors of relationships and an unexpected tragedy, a hit-and-run accident. Was it a small child or a dog? We'll get some clarity from Julia Coffey, who plays Victoria, Tom Coyner, who portrays Alex, and unexpected guests Megan Bartle and Chris Thorne, who play characters Lynn and John, respectively. We'll also get a surprise visit from Wrecked playwright Greg Caleres.
True people.
Why are you talking like a pilgrim?
Just please go.
I'm gonna tell you how batshit you are.
No, because let me tell you, my friends have been in an accident and they need me.
No, it's nothing. We hit a dog.
It may have wanted to die.
I'm sorry. Lynn, let's get out of here, okay?
And then what?
And then we talk like normal people.
You've done enough talking for one night, thank you.
Well, I didn't really get a chance to explain, did I?
What's to explain?
Officer Friedman! You're Officer Friedman!
Yeah.
From the play, honey. The Jewish cop.
Hey, right!
He's an actor!
Of course he is.
What? You thought?
Well, we were.
Jesus, man, I thought you were being weird.
Yeah, that's just with the uniform and all the questions.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
When I started writing the play, I was just sort of excited about, I'm always interested in relationships, how people stay together, why they stay together, and then not just that, but but sort of what a relationship is on the inside when they're alone and what a relationship is on the outside. And there's this concept of sort of the theater of marriage that I'm fascinated by, the idea of like, what are we together in front of people? What roles do we play? Who am I? Who are you? What is our identity? And then when they're gone, does that change? Does it alter? Do we have a sort of sense of how we function? And do we rely on that? And what do we rely on? And what do we rely on separately, and what do we rely on together? And all of those things are so complicated and interesting to me that the play ended up using the word algorithm because there are so many factors that go into it that sometimes I think magically have to work for a relationship to even function on a day-to-day basis. This is me because I'm weird, but like I'm fascinated by relationships and why they work, you know.
Yeah.
There you go. You hate dogs or you're bad drivers. Which is it? Vicky?
Okay, I think that this
It
has
was
gone
an
far enough.
accident.
Well, what'd you do?
What do you mean?
I mean, did you give him mouth to mouth? You know, do a little doggy CPR?
No.
So you just left him there?
He was dead.
How do you know?
John saw him.
Vicky? So he got out and checked.
No.
So how do you tell?
He wasn't moving.
Maybe he was just unconscious. I mean, hell, it was dark, it was raining. Are you even sure it was a dog?
Of course!
How?
Because I saw it!
You what?
I saw it, John.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. We both did. Remember?
There's an awful lot bandied about that this piece is an algorithm of sorts, that there's sort of a world order here, an accepted order. Is that where the word wrecked comes in, that somehow we've messed with that order and the consequences are forthcoming?
Well, I don't. Yeah, that sounds interesting to me.
Yeah.
I know that the play was originally called Hit and Run.
Yeah.
And I think at some point in the history of the play, the playwright decided that was a little on the nose.
Yes.
And that, so I think lots of things get wrecked and lots of things
Yes.
get recalibrated. Yeah.
Yes. Julia, when you see the play, you can't help but think. You go home that night, you scratch your head, you toss and turn, realizing, what would I have done?
Yeah.
And when I talked to the playwright, that's what he said he was going for.
Good. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all human and fallible and...
Tell me that you both thought about that. Tell
Oh,
me that
whether or not
both
you would
thought,
drive on,
what
of
would
course.
you have done? Yeah.
Well, I don't know that it's about imagining what I would have done. It's about coming to terms with the human circumstance surrounding what the people in this play have done.
Yeah.
And it's hard to, I mean, who knows what I would do. So that's what allows me to say.
But your character's a lawyer. So you're always calculating, you're always measuring, and you're always trying to see an outcome that favors you.
Yeah, I mean, I think actually that's the beginning of I think the first moral problem in the play is when I start to construct a reality around the legal ramifications of what we did.
Is this a dysfunctional relationship? I don't even know what functional is
I mean, I
anymore.
think some people would say that, but Victoria and John would not.
No.
You have your rules.
We have our rules. It's what works.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of relationships form not hardcore rules that they've actually maybe delineated and spoken about, but relationships have formed their world that works for them, that keeps them together. And John and Victoria have just sort of beefed that into a bigger.
Yeah, it's funny, we never really talked about this, but I've always presumed that they have a love and a
Oh,
fondness.
totally.
We never ever discussed it, which is funny to me, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We sort of took for granted, oh no,
They
like,
definitely have
yeah.
love for each other,
Yeah.
or it wouldn't work.
What did she say exactly?
Who?
Lynn, you said she talks about us? I'm just curious.
Oh, you know, that you two are some magic, perfect couple who can do no wrong.
Perfect. She said that. You said that. Well, it's true. Really? That is so. You hear that, John?
I assure you, we are not perfect.
Of course not. No one is perfect. But
Without giving away the ending is just truly touching. And I think that's where the love is exemplified
Yeah.
dramatically.
Oh, good.
When you put your arm around her and you work her through her problem, or what her understanding of the problem is. I mean, that's love.
Well, we're both going through it. That's the
yeah.
thing. I mean, he's willing to kind of look at it too, but I needed his help to look at it, and we look at it together, and it brings us closer together.
When I specifically say I could not do it alone, I don't really think I'd help you work it through. I think I invite you
Yes, to do it
to
together.
do it together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 We need to look at this, and I can't do it by myself.
Yeah. Maybe it's a symbol, but one thing is the garage door.
Isn't that great?
Which just fascinates me. It's like the jaws of death. Somehow the prison door is slammed, then it's opened, and then it's slammed again. I mean, that is just, that's a fascinating piece of machinery.
Yeah.
That's integrated in there. And you react to it. You're sort of ambivalent to it, but it startles you at times.
Oh yeah. Well, it's a constant reminder of what's out there and
Yeah.
what could potentially be, evidence.
It's symbolic of the problem, isn't it?
Yes, yes. I think Greg definitely wanted many instances where the world was closing in on this bubble that they had created.
I think you say there's nothing scarier than being alone. Is that true?
There's nothing scarier than being with someone and feeling alone.
Exactly.
I have had that experience. It is frightening. It feels like a death. I remember feeling like felt like death.
And there in the garage door closed.
Funny, Marilyn Monroe said that it was better to be alone and unhappy than with, or like,
And alone with someone else.
Yeah, alone with someone else.
Do you all work things out, or do you just talk around them?
How
As
do you-
characters, do you work things out?
I think they work things
talk
out
around them.
within their understanding and knowledge of their relationship.
Oh yeah, I think
we're in a better
before the
place.
play begins, I think it's a machine.
Yeah.
I think it works really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk to your other proteges in a minute, but that whole reference to animalistic and all that, when you've got the noble beast in the corner, the giraffe overlooking the whole,
sure.
the whole piece. I mean, it is a contradiction of terms. I mean, we react many times, not like animals, but without being rational human beings. Yeah.
Yes, and especially during a traumatic, shocking moment like what happens to Victoria and John, sometimes your animalistic behavior shines through over your more moralistic human thought.
Yeah.
We have to live with that.
This moves at a different pace at all times. This is, well, you're in the round, we're in this theater, and I noticed that there's a quickening of the pace, there's a slowing of the pace. I know the director probably worked with you on that it really needs to move, but at other times it needs to reflect upon itself. That's tough to do as an actor, isn't it?
It just takes time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
To figure out.
We had a sort of team of 5 like-minded collaborators, director and 4 actors, who are interested in solving the problems of sort of rhythmic concerns. Not every actor thinks that way, but the 4 of us were sort of have a kinship in that respect. So it was super fun. It was like really fun to. This rehearsal process was particularly gratifying.
And the text is good enough that you can rely on it to teach you where it wants to breathe. I don't think Greg knew necessarily himself, but then the audiences and rehearsals taught us sort of, oh, this needs to breathe a bit, and this needs a little more zhuzh. Yeah.
Is it a chess match?
I don't think it feels like at least to me, it doesn't feel
The
like
way
a
you all are
chess match.
moved about,
Oh,
almost like on a board.
Oh, interesting.
I don't think it's that calculated.
Okay.
It doesn't feel calculated to me.
That's a good director.
Yeah, we've found that the only prescription that our director gave us was to listen to one another. It's the quality of our listening throughout the evening that I think allows it to contain a sort of constant rhythm, but also be in the moment to the thing that's happening right now.
And we have a code word. Vicky? Like a safe word, but for arguments, ours is cucumber, but you can pick whatever word you want.
Cucumber.
And
They don't need to hear
once
this.
you say it, that's it. Arguing stops. No exceptions. You both take 2 deep breaths, and then that person gets to make one request that the other person has to comply with.
Well, guess we found that one weird-ass thing.
I had no idea.
You don't get penalized for it or anything, but it helps to have a set of guidelines you can rely on.
Lynn, we should be getting back to our home planet now.
Megan and Tom, thank you so much for being with us. What a stimulating piece, Wrecked.
Thank you.
In a sense, are you sort of the comic relief here? Because we should not lose sight of the fact this play is hysterical. It deals with a very serious subject, but it's hysterical.
Yeah, the writing's delightful.
And you all you've done a Shakespearean thing. You have a play within a play, in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we get to play a lot with, we play actors in the play, and we get to play a lot with acting within it. Yeah.
Is yours a dysfunctional relationship?
Well, it's interesting because I think if you're to look at the 2 couples on the surface, John and Victoria are sort of the epitome of perfection, and I think that people would describe Alex and Lynn as being dysfunctional. Messy, but that throughout the play really starts to shift as we discover, like any relationship, no one's perfect, no one's just dysfunctional, that there are many facets of both of those things. But I think we've just had a big fight, and we're going through something.
Yeah, it's one of those really important juncture moments in a relationship where you decide whether you're going to pack it in or whether you're going to keep going and keep working on it together.
And I think Lynn has this, her sort of MO is to self-sabotage. So whenever I think she feels like, you know what, he's going to end it, or this isn't going well, I'm done. I'm going to be done. I'm going to end it, which is sort of what happens in the play, where she comes in and says, we broke up, and then Alex shows up and says, what do you mean?
What do you mean? I don't remember that.
But he comes for her. You know, something changes with the 2 of them, and that Alex doesn't let her get away with that behavior.
She matters too much to him.
You play his psychologist, don't you? You help him work through his problems, typical male problems.
Victoria, the other woman in the play, is really, she kind of guides us through her own version of a therapy. It's like a therapy agility class, it feels like. Yeah, I don't know. Are you my therapist? She's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
Yeah, I think I'm calling you out, maybe because we're in that setting where Victoria has set it up, you know, tell me about your relationship and let's talk about this and act it out. And, you know, maybe I'm saying things to him that I wouldn't say if it were just the 2 of us.
Are you naming, anytime a man has a name, it's the death knell. You named him.
I do. I have a tendency to do that with
Yes.
everyone I'm with. There's the sniffer.
Yes.
There's Pancake Man.
Yep.
And of course, the shaver.
The shaver. That's me.
Yeah.
Oh.
We usually think that that's pretty much the death knell, but in your case, it's not, is it?
No, that's just what she does. Again, it's that self-sabotaging. You know, just if I give them this name, then they won't mean as much. And he calls me out on that.
You have a hard time maintaining attractions and relationships, and you work through an awful lot in your character, don't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. There's quite a shift and a change. I think Lynn starts the play as being very childlike, and by the end of the play is sort of the adult in the room, and that gradually happens. You know, once I've put John and Victoria on such a pedestal, and that kind of unravels as well throughout the play. But there's this moment when Alex has the giraffe moment. Lynn really steps up and says, you know, listen to me, this is not how adults talk to each other in this very sort of grown-up way. And I think that John and Victoria kind of like that she's this child. You know, they want to take care of her and like that she needs them and kind of condescends to her.
That it sort of breaks their boredom. Anytime you visit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, anytime you visit, it's a whole new side, a new friendship, a new side that they love seeing.
Right.
They're not as outgoing, and obviously they relish in your celebration of life. You have a tough role in a way.
Yeah?
You do.
I do?
Look, I watched you. You're very, very good. You both are excellent.
Thanks.
You've got to be somewhat male chauvinistic, but at the same time, you have to be very sensitive, and as you say, not give up on the fight. And hang in there for the two of you. That's a tough.
Well, a very smart actor friend of mine talks about things, especially in comedies, about protecting the possibility of a happy ending. And the happy ending for Alex is that Lynn goes home with him. So any of that negative stuff, I mean, chauvinism, I don't really know, I don't know how I would bring that to bear in a character, but in terms of being sensitive or being, you know, how persistent do I be versus how sensitive I am, it's all about her and making sure that this relationship comes out intact. So you can't get too angry, you can't get too frustrated, and that dialing through that was a lot of the rehearsal for me, understanding where I had to be. And Alex is fun because he doesn't know about the other circumstances in the play. He's in a play that's about whether or not he gets dumped tonight. That's it. Like, I mean, so I find it very straightforward. If I can get her to come home with me, then that's victory.
Yeah.
You know.
These are my friends, okay? And it's late in the night, and these are good and true people.
Why are you talking like a pilgrim?
Just please go.
I'm gonna tell you how batshit you are.
No, because let me tell you, my friends have been in an accident, and they need me.
No, it's nothing. We hit a dog.
It may have wanted to die.
I'm sorry. Lynn, let's get out of here, okay?
And then what?
And then we talk like normal people.
We've done enough talking for one night, thank you.
Well, I didn't really get a chance to explain, did I?
What's to explain?
Officer Friedman! You're Officer Friedman!
Yeah.
From the play, honey. The Jewish cop.
Hey, right!
He's an actor!
Oh, of course he is.
What? You thought?
Well, we were.
Jesus, man, I thought you were being weird.
Yeah, that's just with the uniform and all the questions.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You come in as the cop.
That's the framework that the audience and
Right.
the other characters see it as, but when
Yes.
you're working on Alex, I'm just Alex and I just got
Yeah.
off doing the play.
And we end up loving him in the end.
You know,
And seeing why the relationship works.
it's
right?
definitely built up. I mean, Lynn calls him several names, calls me several names before I arrive. So you know, it's an uphill battle. But yeah, I mean, by the end, I think all the characters are revealed to be more complex.
Yeah.
There's a drinking reference in this piece that there seems to be a common element that keeps couples together, and then the other couple, a drink together perhaps, kind of bonds people. What's your common element?
Oh, you mean Lynn and Alex?
Yeah.
Well, we're both actors.
We're both SAG eligible.
You're both SAG eligible.
We are.
Well, you're both SAG, aren't you?
Eligible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to join because then it rules out.
Yeah, we
In
don't
Indiana.
want to join.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Our characters are
We
SAG
could if we wanted to.
Yeah, sure.
I made that mistake.
Oh,
And
no.
it just rules out all non-union
yeah.
work.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the end of you.
Well, no, I mean, in New York, I mean, are you in SAG?
I'm eligible.
Okay, and I'm in SAG, actually. Our characters are both eligible, just to be
Yeah.
clear. But I don't break any rules.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we also have a very similar sense of humor, and there's a sense of playfulness.
Yes.
One of the things that starts to develop as the play goes on is even though we're still fighting, we have these little moments of connection and sort of appreciating each other for our cleverness. We there is a genuine...
And giving each other a hard time. I mean, that's not all bad. You know,
No.
it's not as if they're at each other's throats. It's just sort
No.
of this,
You never show contempt.
Razzing,
And that's
yeah.
usually the end. When
Yeah.
contempt exists between two human beings, that's pretty much the end of the road. Neither of you ever show contempt.
yeah,
You show frustration, but
Yeah.
not contempt.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you think everybody walks out of this play thinking, what kind of couple are we? Who are we? Are we one of them? Are we like them? They
hope
somehow
so.
identify because maybe they're going through marital struggles?
Yeah. I hope so. I hope that people see it. I think it's a play about relationships. You know, not to give away the ending, but I think people really walk away wanting to talk about the incident. And I think that the play is actually about relationships. And I hope that people are able to look at themselves. Because what happens is so extreme in a way, but if you think about this idea of the hit and run, right, that you do something, we all do things that we're not proud of. And either try to justify those things or ignore those things. And I hope that people can see that within themselves. And, you know, their relationships and...
Yeah, and I do hope they drive home more carefully.
Well, yeah, I think when you all, if you resurface, you're definitely together.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Lynn and Alex. Yeah, you know, the play is kind of about how shared trauma can bond people. They use drinking to tell the story of it, to make the point, but it's really about how when you share anything, you can use it to serve as a bond between you that lasts. And we have now had this experience at the end of the play. We've had this crazy night together that we made it through on the other side, and I think we're both we're like clutching each other like they're like on a piece of, you know, driftwood in the ocean, like we survived. Yeah.
So you're no stranger to the festival. Is this your first time?
So I visited the summer that Tom was here because my fiance Chris Thorne, who was in Wrecked as well, was here that summer.
That's when I met Chris. Yeah.
Yep. So I got to come and see, and have wanted to come back to work here ever since. I love it here.
It's a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful place.
Yeah.
Wonderful place to work.
What's your next thing?
Oh, freedom. You know, just
no.
I'll tell you, my grandpa's turning 100, and we have to go celebrate him. So I'm gonna do kind of an extended family, get in some summer. You know, after this, I've been working for 2 months, so a little vacation.
There'll be some summer left for you.
Oh yeah. It's been a good one.
We'll cool it off just for you.
Yeah, thanks.
What's next for you?
You know, it's funny. I'm in the same boat. I'm going to see my grandma, who's getting older, and it's perfect kind of to end this when I have some time to just go and visit her in Minnesota and soak up some vacation and sunshine.
I hope you two will stay in touch.
Oh,
we
yeah.
will.
Oh yeah. Oh please. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to hold you to that.
No, don't worry. Don't worry. Actor friends are friends for life.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Okay, Doc, go ahead. Fix us.
Vicki, could we?
What?
Can we just? I think it would be good if we could just.
John, what are you trying to say?
I don't think that we are in any shape tonight to be giving relationship advice.
That's ridiculous. I feel fine. Alex, please don't put your glass on the giraffe.
Maybe we should all play a game instead. Do you guys know bananagrams?
Not now, honey. This is serious. Now, how would you describe your relationship?
You mean from my perspective?
Somehow I think they've heard your perspective.
One of the things I wanted to play with the play was, what is the audience going through? What are they rooting for in the play? And when they get what they wanted at the end, or don't get what they wanted at the end, or whatever outcome that they were rooting for happens or doesn't, how do they feel about what they wanted in the beginning? And hopefully, in some way, it's altered. And in a way, it implicates you a little bit. You know, you kind of go, oh my gosh, I think I wanted this, and now I'm not sure. You know what? I did not want this, but now I do. You know, so I find that kind of interesting.
It was an argument.
It was pretty definitive.
Because you walked out. Had I known you were going to continue it without me, I would have tried harder to keep up.
Okay, fine.
Okay, fine. What are you talking about? Did we? Are you breaking up with me? Should I ask them?
Can we talk about this tomorrow?
Fuck that. I haven't seen you in an hour. We've already broken up. By tomorrow, you might be married to someone else.
So you didn't break up?
No.
Basically.
Lynn,
What do you want from me?
I want us to go somewhere and have a rational conversation that I'm there for.
No.
No?
I'm not going anywhere. You have something you want to say to me, say it in front of my best friends.
Greg Caleres, who wrote that play, is a really gifted artist. And his gift for dialogue, I mean, that is one of those for a new play, in its first production, in its early, I read 2 drafts of it before we got to the draft that we're doing now. To have it that tight, even in its early drafts, that dialogue is just, he knows how to write dialogue, he knows what he wants to say. And yes, at its surface, he would say, this is a relationship play, and it truly is. But I love that idea of how to get your story straight.
Yes.
and what memory does and what's your story. We could tell each other the same story. We could have had the same experience and we'll have two different stories. So it's a really fascinating, and to be able to do it as a serial comedy, if you want to give it a label, to be able to do it where it's funny until it's not. That's a signature theater festival play.
These are my friends, okay? And it's late in the night, and these are good and true people.
Why are you talking like a pilgrim?
Just please go.
I'm gonna tell you how batshit you are.
No, because let me tell you, my friends have been in an accident and they need me.
Oh, no, it's nothing. We hit a dog.
It may have wanted to die.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for joining us here at the Contemporary American Theater Festival here in Shepherdstown, West Virginia. I hope you enjoyed meeting playwright Greg Caleres and the cast of Wrecked. Until next time, remember, art was meant to be appreciated, so you be a part of it.